All right into the meat. I think there are 4 reasons that you should start a side hustle. And again, when we say side hustle, forming a extra piece of income for a period of time or more. The first reason is it is to attack a short-term goal. So it could be we need to save as much money to have more cash or servicing to get to our mortgage. That's the first reason. You are very strategic because when things get tough and things get annoying, you know that this isn't forever. This is just for 6 months or a year to achieve one of our financial goals.
Totally agree.
Now, the second reason is to attack short-term debt, which I have split this up for a reason because, sure, paying down debt is a goal, but I just really wanted to illustrate that when we are getting extra side hustle income to plug into our life, it could be for stuff that isn't enjoyable, like paying down debt.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's within that goal. So it could be I want to clean up my personal loan, my credit card, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's one of the other reasons. Now we're starting to get into this kind of stuff on the side, which is I want to work for myself one day and I want to build that business and do it on the side. Literally side hustle. I want to hustle on the side to, in this instance, one day start my own business. And the fourth reason, it is I'm genuinely happy to just monetize a hobby, or I want to do this. I like doing it.
I love that. You want to.
Yeah, and
it's as simple as that.
well, we have to make it clear. And one of the, I guess, reasons that it's not on this list, and it kind of goes to what I think is the biggest risk of side hustles, is, so the fifth reason isn't we need more money to live, because if you're strapped for cash week on week and you're like, I'm going to get a side hustle because I can't afford to pay the power bill, I can't afford to pay the subscriptions and all that stuff, I can't afford rent, that's not a reason to do the side hustle at all, I don't think, because you'll get trapped.
Yeah, there's a behaviour issue that needs to be fixed, not just throwing money at a problem.
That's right. And sure, it could be like, far out, I've just been made half redundant and, I need extra money to live. Like, yeah, sure, you might go and get a second job, but it's a different framework and mindset. So my challenge to everyone thinking about a second job or getting a side hustle, whatever you want to call it, starting business on the side is probably the term that if you want to start a business, and the rest is side hustle.
Yeah.
You got to be very strategic, and we can talk about this in like the setup of it, that we do not eat the money that we earn on the side.
Yeah, because then it begs the question, the time that you're spending on this side hustle, could you be investing that time into your current job to be upskilling or getting a promotion to then earn more money, and then you don't need the side hustle, right? It's what's the goal here?
So that's what I think is the biggest risk, is you kind of think you need more money. Oh, awesome, I'm doing this overtime, or I'm packing shelves. It's awesome, I'm earning an extra $200 a week. You'll embed that into your budget and into your life, and it's going to be very hard to stop that.
And then you need a third job, a third side hustle.
And at some point you run out of jobs and time.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of what I'm thinking are the biggest risks and the reason that that you should do a side hustle. I want to look at this next thing of, hobby or business. Did you have any other comments on any of that kind of preamble?
I think when it comes to having a side hustle, for me, I used to have a photography and copywriting business, and I went down that path of just starting something without really having a strategy or a goal. And it kind of got to the point where I was at a bit of a crossroads where I didn't have a lot of money coming in, but the business had legs. Like, I had leads coming in and I could have made it full-time if I wanted to.
Yeah, right.
And I kind of had to ask myself, what do I actually want from this? And I did this was before you had announced the 4 reasons to do a side hustle. But
Was one of your reasons to earn more money to spend on my Netflix subscription?
well, it was. I was actually looking for another job.
Right.
I was using it as a portfolio, and then people started like paying me to take photos, and I thought, oh, maybe I don't even need a portfolio. Like I could have this business. But then, long story short, I ended up choosing to save up for a goal, which was my house deposit that I ended up taking over to Sphere Home Loans, another shout out. But yeah, I think those 4 rules really are golden, because if I didn't stop and think about what I actually wanted for this, like I'd monetize my hobby and it was fun and I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I would have enjoyed it going full time and taking on the risk of it being a full-time business. It was kind of this like fun and fluffy thing when it was a side hustle, which made it more fun. So having that goal to like save up for the house deposit and then finish up actually really improved the work I was doing and made it more fun for me to actually have a side hustle.
Yeah, and that's why I just really want to drive home today that if people are going after something as a goal, whether it is the pleasure goal of saving for that holiday or the paying goal of removing debt and crap that we've already spent, and I'm doing this for no benefit, just cleaning up the mess that I've left behind, it's... I don't know where I was going with that. I think I was saying you can fall into stuff. No, I wasn't saying that. I did write that down.
You can fall into stuff though.
Yeah.
That is true.
I think it's that whole... Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, don't think that, I don't want to save up and get the holiday account. I don't want to save up and get the home deposit. I don't want to pay down my debt and all this because it's too hard. Side hustles ain't for me.
Yeah.
Okay, remove that word completely from your vibe.
Yeah.
It's like, go get a second job and earn more money as overtime.
Yeah.
Like,
so you're saying side hustles don't have to be a business.
No,
like a side
and
hustle could be
and that was the
you
kind
do Uber
of
on the
in
weekends
the
or
open
something.
thing. It's like the biggest problem is the PR problem with side hustles.
Side hustles need a
It's
rebrand.
AKA it's second job or overtime.
Yeah, any side hustle, any income.
Yeah,
could be
extra income. Now, the good thing is about if you go down the road or the route of I pack shelves at night, I pour beers on school nights, I do all this extra income stuff.
Yeah.
The admin side is so good.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to set up ABNs, you don't have to do all that, you don't have to be a contractor.
Yeah.
You're literally a casual staff member. Mm-hmm. There is some potential downsides on the tax front, which we'll get to, and it's not a downside, quote unquote. It's just it's just a thing, and I will get to that. But what I want to probably just carve out first is, and we see it all the time in the Facebook groups. People are like, well, how do I know it's a hobby and should I pay tax on this money? And it just goes back to, I think, your intent. Now, if you are, and I wrote down before, I like making leather wallets and I do I go to the markets once a month, make some leather wallets. Sometimes I'll book a market stall, sometimes I don't. I like doing it. It's probably more a hobby.
Yeah.
But if you're like, no, I want to legitimately have this as some type of foundation to maybe grow and build into a business one day, well, you've got to start with the mindset of business, because I think at the start, if you're like, I'm going to do this thing on the side and I'm going to just treat it like a hobby so I don't have to pay a little bit of tax, you're not going to be really strategic anyway. Like, you won't do as well because you don't want to do too much in case I have to pay tax.
Yeah.
But if you're like, no, this is literally, I want it to be a side business and maybe one time grow and take over my full-time work, well, let's set up the structure. Let's really get into it. On the ATO website, they say it's important to determine whether I don't know, that's an error whether the trust is carrying on a business as distinct from pursuing a hobby, sport or recreational activity that does not produce accessible income. I think there's an error on the ATO website.
Are they just describing what a hobby is?
Well, yeah. So basically,
pursuing a hobby, sport or recreational.
the factors or business indicators various courts and tribunals have taken into account if determining a business exists for tax purposes include whether the activity has actually started, if it's a significant commercial purchase or character, is undertaken with a purpose of profit as well as prospect of profits, is carried out in a manner that is characteristic of the industry, has repetition, regularity or continuity. So that's the whole thing with I'm making some leather wallets. If you're like, yeah, every Saturday I'm at the foreshore selling leather wallets, probably go out on a limb. That's a business.
Yeah.
But if you're like, oh, I'll find old ones at op shops and I don't know, every 3
If the
months.
right wallet comes along,
I'll set up a stand. It's actually pretty, if in doubt, this is where you got to get to, and this is my point of this. And actually, I'll just keep reading this first. It's a sufficient size, scale, and permanency to generate a profit. It is not more properly described as a hobby, recreational, sporting activity.
Gosh, it's a bit vague, isn't it? The
It
definitions.
is, but I think what I want to call out is in this episode, I'm not talking about hobbies. And if you want to monetize, and in the second half of this episode, when we look at some of the things that people have written in the Facebook group, there's a really good example of what a hobby is. So, yeah, I think going on here, if we're talking about starting business on the side, anything that we talk about will not be based on how do we pay less tax and try and make this as it's a hobby. Because I want you to earn income, albeit paying tax, because at the end of the day, if you got given $1,000, Kayla, and paid 40% tax, the leftover would be $600. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's financially better off
Than not having.
selling one thing for $200 and trying to obfuscate and get around paying a little bit of tax.
Yeah. I think a good distinction between the hobby and business thing is with the leather wallets, as you said, like if the right wallet comes along, you might fix it up or something.
Yeah.
You're kind of jumping at opportunities to make a bit of extra cash versus a business as you are creating opportunities.
Yeah.
You're chasing clients or customers or you're baking muffins at the market, you're creating opportunities to make money. Whereas, again, a little bit later on when we see stuff from the Facebook group, some people have just optimized, like they'll have these little opportunities that come along and they might sell something for more than they bought it or here and there.
Yeah, and I think that's good as well because just as you're saying that, one of the dudes that when I did that Coxon's TAFE course a few years ago, he was his day job was like a truck driver. Like that was I think he was a truck driver, whatever it was, or courier or something like that.
Yeah.
But he's really into fishing and he knew people on the Newcastle fishing scene and he's one of those people who just knows everyone, right?
Yeah.
And he fixes fishing rods, reels.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't advertise that he does it, but if someone's like, oh, my reel needs servicing or fixing, they'll take it to Phil and probably just give him a couple $100.
Yeah.
Like, that's
hobby
more of
versus
a hobby.
A business is he's like on Facebook sharing about the reels he's fixed and
that's right,
inquire on my website, chasing opportunities versus just taking them up.
So like, if in doubt, default that you're starting a business and not a hobby, I think. Hey, it's Glen here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.